Hi there, and welcome to this week's edition of Macro Minutes. I'm your head of trading, Mark Gardner. We'll start off with a disclosure statement. The information summarised in this webinar does not constitute financial advice and is general in nature. It doesn't take into account your specific circumstances and should not be acted upon without full understanding of your current situation. Okay, so stocks in our universe. We've got SIQ, Worley's and Telstra this week. So SIQ is Smart Group. On the 29th, they announced, following a competitive tender process, it's renewed its contract for the provision of salary packaging and novated leasing services to the Department of Defence. The renewal, inclusive of extensions, runs to 2026, and it means the bulk of its contracts expiring in 2021 have now been renewed or extended. SIQ outsources employee benefits and admin services such as salary packaging, novated leasing, and payroll administration. The DoD is SIQ's largest client. After experiencing increased settlement times on novated leases because of a tight car market earlier in the year, the company's share price has now since recovered from its March lows, as pent-up demand has reflected in strong novated lease order book growth. Next up, we've got Worley's. On the 29th, they were awarded a contract by Soraya Resources for its active anode material facility in Louisiana. On the 1st of July, Worley's was also awarded a services contract by Pacific Hydro for its 196 of its Victorian wind turbines. It's expected to expand the production capacity at Soraya's active anode material facility in the US to around 10 kilotons of AAM material. AAM is a natural graphite material that's used in lithium-ion batteries for powering things like electric vehicles, etc. One of the Pacific Hydro wind farms contracts expires 10 years, the other expires in 5 years. The services will be executed by Worley's Victorian regional team. The awarded contracts continues Worley's recent trend for bidding and winning services in renewable low-carbon projects. Next up, we've got Telstra. So on the 30th of June, Telstra announced the sale of its 49% stake at the Infracode business towers business. It's the largest Telstra-led business in Australia with over 8,200 towers to a consortium of, for a net proceeds of 2.8 billion. Transaction values for the entire Infracode business at 5.9 billion, which represents EBITDA after leases of 28 times. This multiple was above the broker estimates of 22 times, well ahead of the expected timeline for the sale in financial year 2022, with the consortium swiftly showing interest in paying a higher price than expectations. The multiple represents a material premium compared to the international precedent transactions, with European precedents on average below 20 times and US multiples in the low 20s. Management indicated it expects to return around 50% of the net proceeds, approximately 11 cents per share, to shareholders through a share buyback. The company highlighted the remainder of the proceeds will be used for debt reduction. Looking ahead, the mobile market, which the market has been historically valued very irrationally by investors, could re-rate from the deferred 5G prices and recovery in international roaming. Rightio, next week's stocks in our universe, we've got two IPOs, Ascari Metals and Burley Minerals and Grain Corp. So Ascari Metals, AS2 set to IPO on the 5th of July, seeking between 5 to 6 million at a share price of 20 cents. Now, that's about a market cap of around about 8 million to 9 million. Company explores and develops high-quality copper and gold projects in WA and New South Wales, and currently has 5 projects fully owned. The majority of the 5 projects are in close proximity to large deposits from other mines with significant exploration upside. Goldman Sachs is still labelling copper as the new oil and forecasting highs of $15,000 a tonne by 2025 due to its importance in electronics and green energy transition. A cyclical upswing in commodity prices in both copper and gold. Grain Corp, they've announced a fully franked dividend or interim dividend of about 8 cents a share with an ex-date of the 7th and a payment date of the 22nd. The payment posted a strong growth EBITDA to 140 million in the first half of 2021 compared to the 105 million in the previous comparison period. Upgraded EBITDA and NPAT guidance of 250 to 280 and 80 to 100 respectively. The 8-cent interim dividend represents a yield of 1.54 at the current share price of 5.21. Next up, we've got Burley Minerals, set to IPO on the 9th of this month, seeking 6 million at a share price of 20 cents as well. Market cap of 12 mil. Burley is an explorer and developer of iron ore and base metals in WA with an option to acquire 70% of Nova Range Proprietary Limited, which owns 100% of the Eurocoin project near New Norica in WA. Exploration has indicated significant magnetite resources totaling 247 megatons at 29.9 Fe, with the ability to produce 68.1 magnetite concentration. With iron ore prices at historical highs, BUR aims to leverage this favourable pricing in terms of timing their IPO and exploration endeavours. Now we've got looking ahead. We've got FOMC minutes, RBA decision, and Australian retail sales. We've also got US non-farm payrolls tonight, which will probably be the most important of the three, to be honest. Expecting about 700,000 there tonight, and growth in the average hourly earnings. But on to the RBA, next Tuesday, 2:30, they'll release their rate decision and accompanying statement. Essentially what they were looking at here was whether they were going to reduce their bond buying in the 3-year part of the curve. It was slated to be decided this meeting, but with the COVID lockdowns, they're expected to maybe push that till the next meeting. And then we've got next Thursday at 4 a.m, we've got the FOMC minutes to be released. These will be pretty important because there was a sharp move to the downside when they moved up their rate hike schedule, as communicated by the dot plots. The Fed went to great lengths after that to explain that that wasn't really the case, that they were still going to happily live with inflation. However, it did rattle the market in the commodities and financial sector pretty heavily, because obviously we'd be dealing with inflation on a predictive basis, not living with it and an average inflation basis. Next Thursday at 11:30 is where we've got monthly retail sales. Look, this figure probably will be largely ignored, to be honest. Australian numbers have been very good lately, but we'll have some COVID stuff in there, so it's going to be very difficult for them to take any strong lead out of that. So I dare say the FOMC minutes, the RBA with the bond buyback and the payrolls numbers tonight will be far more important. Thank you for attending the Maqro Minutes, the 2nd of July, and we'll chat again next week.